This is Sylvia Saber with OPtv Global Headlines, starting with the top international stories for the day. Governments around the world moved to limit the damage from a release of Pandora Papers. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, Jordan's King Abdullah II, Colombian singer Shakira, the German supermodel Claudia Schiffer, and the Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar names are also included. Russian leader Vladimir Putin is not named, but he's linked via associates to secret assets in Monaco. US President Joe Biden slammed Republicans for opposing efforts to keep the nation from being unable to pay its debts for the first time in its history. Mr. Biden said he couldn't guarantee the debt ceiling would be raised in 2 weeks. He urged that Republicans should vote to pay for bills which both parties are responsible. A recently unveiled sculpture honoring George Floyd in New York City has been defaced for a second time. Gray paint was thrown across the statue just 2 days after it was set up in Union Square. Floyd was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer in 2020. An oil slick off the coast of California, state of USA, has started washing ashore, killing fish, contaminating wetlands, and closing beaches. About 3,000 barrels of oil have spread off the Orange County coast. An investigation into the pipeline breach that caused it is underway. Swedish artist Lars Vilks, who sketched the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ caricature, has died in a traffic accident. Vilks was traveling in a civilian police vehicle for protection which collided with a truck near the town of Markyard. Hundreds of protesters marched through Manchester to support the political struggle of both Kashmiris and Palestinians on the occasion of UK's Conservative Party's annual conference. Shadow Deputy Leader of the House of Commons, British people and ethnic minorities also joined the march to show solidarity with the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Palestine. Some 200 armed men stormed a church in Roorkee city of India's Uttarakhand state during Sunday prayer service. Pastor of the church says he can identify most of the attackers as they belonged to a Hindu vigilante group, Bajrang Dal. Taiwan has urged Beijing to stop irresponsible, provocative actions after a record number of Chinese warplanes entered its air defense zone. It was the fourth straight day of incursions by Chinese aircraft, with almost 150 aircraft sent into Taiwan's defense zone in total. Up next, we have the national updates. The Joint Anti-Terrorist Exercise 2021 has been concluded in Pabi region of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The exercise focused on enhancing cooperation and cohesiveness in combating international terrorism between Chinese and Pakistani troops. This is the first ever military exercise conducted in Pakistan under the ambit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Chief of the Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa has conferred military awards to Army personnel for their acts of gallantry during operations and meritorious services. The Army Chief lauded brave families of martyrs for supreme sacrifices and said the sacrifice of our martyrs will not go to waste. A delegation of British members of Parliament comprising of Lord Wajid Khan, Naz Shah and Muhammad Yassin met Prime Minister Imran Khan. The delegation appreciated the leaders discussed various measures of the present government, people-friendly policies and steps being taken to highlight the Kashmir issue during the meeting. Prime Minister Imran Khan has launched Kamyab Pakistan program worth Rs 1,400 billion in Islamabad. Under the program, the government will provide Rs 1.4 trillion micro-loans to 3.7 million households across the country. In General Assembly's first committee, Pakistani Ambassador Munir Akram drew United Nations attention to the threat to international peace and security posed by India's Hindutva regime move to impose a final solution in occupied Kashmir. Top diplomat said that Pakistan will do whatever it takes to preserve full-spectrum deterrence to prevent and defeat any potential Indian aggression. A security forces personnel was martyred in North Waziristan's area of Ghariom after terrorists targeted a checkpost. The ISPR said that clearance is in progress to eliminate any terrorists found in the area. Test run of the Green Line BRT has begun on 23-kilometer route after the federal government inaugurated its trial operation. Sindh Governor Imran Ismail inspected the trial run from Surjani town to Namai Sharangi and travelled in the BRT bus. Islamabad will get an air security unit this week with 12 drones to provide a faultless security system. Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid said that 1,000 additional personnel were being inducted to the Islamabad police and 2 locators were being purchased. Up next, we have the health updates. Scientists from United States, David Julius and Ardem Pataposhian, won the 2021 Nobel Prize in Medicine for their work on human body sensing touch and temperature. They unpicked how human bodies convert physical sensations into electrical messages in the nervous system. Up next, we have the updates on science and technology. Major social media services Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp were hit by a massive outage worldwide for 6 hours. The company says the cause was a faulty configuration change. It was the largest failure Facebook ever seen, with 10.6 million problem reports around the world. Famous Star Trek actor who played Captain Kirk in series is set to embark on a real-life journey into space. 90 years old William Shatner would be blasting off from Texas on 12th October and will become the oldest person to have flown into space. Up next, we have the sports updates. The tickets for the T20 World Cup's Pakistan vs India match in Dubai have completely sold out just hours after the sale was launched. The much-awaited match is scheduled for October 24th at the Dubai International Stadium. Stadiums in the United Arab Emirates will operate at 70% capacity for the 2020 World Cup. Meanwhile, conditions in Oman, where preliminary rounds are due to be played, are still to be fully assessed after struck by tropical cyclone Shaheen. The World Footballers Union FIFA Pro attacked the lack of holistic vision of the game's institutions, including FIFA's proposal for a biennial World Cup. Union's General Secretary Jonas Beer-Hoffman called for a reasonable and effective reform to lighten the burden on footballers and reduce the chance of injury. Up next, we have the entertainment updates. Renowned Pakistani music producer and composer Ruhail Hayat is receiving great appraisal for creating the soundtrack for the Pakistan Pavilion at Dubai Expo 2020. He has thanked Noor Jahan Bilgrami, who co-created the pavilion, for trusting him. Celebrity fashionista Aishwarya Rai Bachchan walked the ramp for Lead the Fal L'Oreal Paris 2021 show at Paris Fashion Week. The Bollywood superstar was joined by Hollywood's Helen Mirren, singer Camila Cabello, and Aquaman famed Amber Heard. The show aimed to highlight women's issues. Up next, we have the business updates. Pakistani currency dropped to an all-time low against the US dollar in the interbank market. With a fresh fall of 31 pesos, the local currency closed at Rs 170.79 against the US currency. The Engineering News Record has awarded the Karakoram Highway Phase 2 as the winner of Global Best Projects jury competition. Under China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the project includes 60 large bridges, 45 middle and small bridges, 11 flyovers, 464 culverts, 40 underpasses, 6 tunnels, 3 tunnel management stations, and 6 tool stations. The Pakistan Stock Exchange remained subdued on the first trading day of the week. Benchmark KSE 100 index ends with a gain of 172.8 points at 45,044.50. Soaring inflation and depreciating currency also fueled selling pressure across the board.